Hey, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And in our last episodes, I think it was 3 of them, we kind of applied what we've learned to actually Foundry's file structure and did some recon and things like that. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it helped really tie in. Yes, ultimately, what we're learning is going to help us with coding in Foundry VTT. But now we're back to where our examples will be D&D or RPG related, but not so much directly tying into the core of Foundry itself. So as you can see, there's actually been an update. We're on version 10, build 288. I think the last one was 2.7 something. I don't remember. 2.6 maybe. So let's go ahead and jump in. I really wish my sidebar macros would work again. In fact, has it had an update? Let's see if it says it's compatible or anything. And I don't even remember what was causing the issue or what the issue was. Let me see. Sidebar macro. Yeah, it doesn't say there's compatibility issue, but it does show that well, maybe I don't know, localization, because that's compatible. I guess I've seen people using it in other games that I played and stuff, so maybe it works. I don't know. So we'll enable it because it's so much nicer than having that other pop up. All right, so here we are. So what we're going to be learning about now is something that we kind of touched upon at the very beginning when we were talking about data structures and data types and all that stuff. Actually, I don't think we talked about data structures. That's what we're talking about now. But we did tap into them in our example, our last 3 episodes. We did tap in those, and these are going to be arrays. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new macro here called arrays, I guess. R-A-Y. Can't think of what else to call it. And we want to make it 07. And scripts, good. We're all good there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit F12 so we know that we have our thing here. Oh, there we go. And we'll go ahead and fill up this space here. Oh, I need my template real quick. I need to click on the template. And oh, there we go. All right. It's not going to do anything. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this big. Let's talk a little bit about why we have arrays. So let's say, for example, we have a character and we want to keep track of their backpack. So we would have to do something like const, and we would say item1, and let's say this is their armor. So we'll do studdleather, so something like that, semicolon, and then we will have to do other things. So let's do Control C, and let's just, for example, add 6 in all. So V, enter, V, enter, V, enter. Is that 6? Yes. So our next one will be 2, our next one will be 3, our next one will be 4, 5, and 6. Now we might actually want these to be lets, so that we can actually change what they are. But in this case, we're just going to use const. Or, well, no, it'd make more sense to be lets, but, well, I don't know. Me and my having to be correct here. Because your items in your inventory will change. If I have, say, healing potions or something like that, they will change. Now, we're going to get into, well, let's not jump there. All right, so let's go ahead and add another thing. Maybe this will be a short bow. We have a short bow. We have 20 bolts for our short bow. So bolts. We have 10 rations. I think that's standard. We have our water skin that has, I think, isn't it let's say it's 10 days worth of water. So I'm going to say maybe in parentheses, because it's one water skin, but basically it has 10 uses. Maybe we could even say uses. Whoops. USES. So we have 10 uses, and let's do our final thing, make it be a longsword. So now you see here we have a backpack item. You know, well, it's not technically a backpack item or an inventory. It's a whole bunch of items, and they're just kind of random. And if we ever wanted to add another one, we'd have to come in here and we'd have to go to do a let item 7 equal whatever it is. So this can be quite hectic. We need a way that maybe we can add things a lot quicker without having to create a new variable every time. And maybe, you know, make it so we can access all these things with maybe a single variable. And this is where arrays come in. Arrays shine when it comes to doing stuff like this. So we're going to turn this exact same thing we have up here into an array to show you what an array is. So we're going to do array, and maybe another comment there. So an array, we're going to do a const. And you might be asked, this is what I was going to say, is up here we're doing these as let. This we're going to do as const. Well, what this is actually doing is, because an array is an object, the const is the array itself. The content of the array is still going to be values, and they can be changed. You can increase the size of the array, shrink the array, and stuff like that. But the actual array object cannot be changed. So that's why that is a const. So we're going to call this inventory. Did I spell that right? Heavens no. inventoryu. I was close. And the way we can do array, there's two ways we can make an array. So the, I guess you could say official way, or the not necessarily even proper way. Let's do that second. So let's go ahead and create an array. So an array is a list of values or expressions that are within square brackets. And you can actually put arrays in arrays, or anything that evaluates to an actual value into an array. You can put objects in an array, any of your data types, numbers, strings, all that fun stuff, booleans, they can all be put in an array, and the array is happy. How we separate the items within the array will be with a comma. So if we want to have studded leather here, we just do Control-C and paste that in here, do Control-V and do a comma. And then we could do our second item. And so on and so forth. I'm going to show you after how I guess the official way to do an array, or the original way. I think this is a newer way that was released after, but we'll talk about that. No one uses that as much, but let's go ahead and keep adding these guys. Control-C, do a comma space V, comma, comma space 10 use, oh, whoops, I need the quotes. And once again, you can use single quotes, you can use double quotes, you can use any of our string quotes in here. That I didn't hit copy, did I? Control-C and Control-V, and then our last one will be the longsword. And Control-V. Now, when we create an array is called a zero base type structure because I don't know how I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to do this just so you can see it, because I need the whole thing showing. So each of these elements have an index, and we kind of talked about that in the past. But because it's 0 based, that means this one right here is going to be element 0. So if we come in here, this will be element 0, not 1. This one right here will be element 1. This will be element 2, element 3, element 4, and I don't know that I can get element 5 in because of, if I try and do this, it's just going to put a carriage return right there, so that's not going to help us. So you get the gist of this. So each of these act as an element. So if I want to access one of these elements, for example, if I wanted to access, say, the studded leather, I would do inventory, and I would do bracket 0 bracket. So this is basically saying that inside the inventory array, I want element 0. Whoops. And I moved it outside. So if we go put this in a console log, I don't remember if this works, does it? Yes, it does. Good. All right. Do that. Come here and do console.log. And then I'm going to stick in here really quick just some tags so we know what it is. inventory. Do that. So if I do this and we run it now, we can go back to this. This is why I needed it to be long, because now you can see they don't line up. But you get the gist. So let's go into F12 there, move this over here, put everything back. And now if we run this, oh, we're not in the messages one. So let's go and clear it. I always forget that. You'll see inventory stud leather pulls up. If we want short bow, then of course we would access element 1. Bolts would be, the 20 bolts would be 2. 3 would be rations, so on and so forth. So here now we can actually add things to the array, which we'll be going over when we get into the basic methods, or remove things from the array. And we don't have to come into the code and say, oh crud, I didn't think they'd ever have more than 6 items, so now I have to go create more. We can actually dynamically change this array. So now I want to show you really quick what the original way of creating an array was, and it wasn't that different. It is nicer this way, and you can still use it, and it works fine. So what we would do is, then we're going to do maybe a die types, so dice types. So we're going to do a const and dietypes. And that part's all the same. Here's where it's different. You would actually use the new keyword and uppercase ARRAY, and then parentheses. And this would actually also create an array. And then inside the parentheses, we would stick our different types. So we would do our D20, comma, D, what else, 12. Oops, I didn't put any quotes. Comma, this, do a D10, D10, comma, and you get the idea, hopefully. And then of course D8. Because I put the comma, I want to put one more at least. So here we can have an array that keeps track of all our different die types. And we can access them using those elements. 0 be 20, 1 would be 12, 10 would be this. So, and we can always output the array to see where those elements are, the associations. If we do console.log, and I'm going to add the others. I'll just copy them from my thing here. Control C. Control V there. So I'm going to do console.log, and we'll do die types. And a colon and a comma, and then we'll do dietypes. So you have to spell it right. So now that we've done that, and that's not quite right, we can see our die type. So if we clear this and we do this, we can see now we have die types. It's an array of 7. And we can see here the individuals. 0 is 20, 12, percentile, 10, 8, 6, and 4. And then you'll also notice we actually have this property in here that will always tell us what the length of the array currently is. So if we add something, it will increase to 8. If we subtract something, it'll decrease to 6. So we can always access this value, and we do this a whole lot when we're programming, so we know exactly how many elements we have in here and things like that. Let's see, we're 15 minutes. We should still be good. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more. We'll talk about that inventory size. So accessing this, all we have to do is, let's just do console.log, S-O-L-E, fingers get excited sometimes, log, and we will do, let's call inventory size, inventory, size, even though it's called length, but it makes more sense to say how big the inventory is. And the way we would access this, we would say inventory dot length. So if we do this, it's going to tell us that our inventory size, it's not going to be 0 based, so it's not going to tell us that it's 6. I mean, it's not going to tell us that it's 5 because we have a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the longsword is 5. It's going to tell us that it's 6 because it's not 0 based. So let's go ahead and run that. And here you can see, sure enough, inventory size is 6. So we can always check the size of our array without having to go and actually write code that says, okay, there is an item here, there isn't an item here, there is an item here, there isn't an item here, type of thing to return that. Because if I try and access an element of an array that doesn't exist, for example, if we try and access inventory element 6, let's just do that. Let's do console.log, and we'll go maybe no items there or something, I don't know, comma inventory inventory bracket 6. Or we could actually use our inventory length thing in here, Control C and Control V. And if we run this, we'll go ahead and do this. You'll see it doesn't error out. It doesn't say, lots of programming languages will say tried to access an element that doesn't exist or outside the bounds of the array or something like that. In Java, it will simply return undefined because there isn't an element there. So it's just saying, yeah, there's nothing there. I'm just going to return undefined. So instead of throwing a big error, it will tell us that it's undefined. Now, you can always use inventory length to be able to get the last element. And basically, it's the exact same thing. And this will always return the very last item of the array. Basically, we just do inventory length and -1 because that will return 6. But because we're 0 based, we're going to -1 to make it 5. So this, of course, is going to return our weapon, our sword. Right? So let's go and do this. Although if we increase the array or decrease the array, well, decreasing the array, if we don't remove the longsword, it will still be correct. So maybe we should call this last item. So we can do that. And save the macro. Whoops, not save the macro. Go ahead to arrays again and execute the macro. And here you can see our last item, sure enough, is the longsword. The other thing we can do is we can change those elements in the array. We can actually come in here and do, let's say inventory, dot, 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 and we'll just change the last item, no matter what it is. In this case, it's a long sword. And let's set that to grade X equals GREATAXE. So AX, poof, can't spell at all. And of course that has to be in quotes. There we go. So if we do this and then we inventory, we output, let's just output our entire array again. Where did we do that? Up here? No, we never did output the entire array, but we'll go ahead and take, see here, go ahead and do this. And instead of length, we'll just output inventory, like so. All right, so, and then we'll just call this inventory. And we'll go ahead and clear this, run this, and we get an error because I did something wrong. We have an extra, we need to get rid of that guy right there. All right, let's do this again. There we go. So now if we go look at our thing, our sixth element is no longer a longsword, which it was. It is now a grade X. So we can actually change these values. We could set it to a blank space. We could do whatever we want with the actual element. So we're at 21 minutes. I think we're going to call it here. Let me go mark in my thing here where we got to. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is a good stopping point because the next thing we're going to get into is something called a multi-dimensional array. So for example, maybe we want to keep, you know, this as its own little array, saying water skin and the uses and this. So all our consumables have kind of a multi-dimensional array, and we'll talk about those in the next episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned something new. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe, and click the notification bell. I forgot that. No, I didn't forget it. Comment, like, subscribe. Click the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. Don't forget to tell other people about this channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. We grow the channel. Be really nice to be able to hit 2,000 and more, of course. I don't want to draw a line at 2,000. But that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.